Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are, and welcome to Chattering with Nicholas Vince. Well, hopefully you saw that bit. I think we're now live. Anyway, so in a few moments, I'm going to introduce Gavin Robertson. Before I do, I just wanted to thank everybody who subscribed this week. There have been quite a few this week, so thank you very much indeed for subscribing to the YouTube channel, and also to thank everybody who went to Liverpool Horror Club last night for the screening of Nightbreed, the director's cut, and the Skype Q&A, which I did afterwards. Thanks to Chris, Matt, and Ilan for organising that. It was really good fun. So there's some really interesting questions as well. So yeah, thank you, folks. And hopefully some of you may be watching, because I know this was promoted by the guys. Other quick thing to let everybody know is that my website is now all but a couple of things up to date. I've been working on that since just before Christmas. Well, yeah, at the middle of January. Actually, no, what am I talking about? The last couple of weeks. Bringing the website completely up to date. So the chattering shows are there, and this year's chattering shows are almost there. I'm just missing one at the moment. So please check that out. That's www.nicholasvince.com. And sometime this week, I'm going to be setting up the thing for setting up a web shop for being able to buy autographed photographs and books, etc. That's going to be going on, as I say, in the next couple of weeks, but worth checking it out and joining a mailing list, because when it does go live, there's going to be a slight discount on, there's going to be an introductory discount on stuff. And the other thing is to just thank everybody who's been watching Kirby a Hero for the Soska Sisters Blood Drive. That's done very well. Lots of people have been watching that. So again, very pleased with that. Thank you very much. And Chris Zombie King has just said that he had such a good time at Liverpool Horror Club last night, so he's watching. Thank you very much indeed for watching, Chris. And whilst we're talking to Gavin, if you have a question for him, please type it in and Craig will pass that on to me. So anyway, let me just introduce Gavin. Hi, Gavin.
Hello.
How are you doing, sir?
Very good. Thanks.
Good. You've survived the snow.
Yes. I think we've just survived the snow. There's still no bread or milk.
Oh no!
No, still the shops are still bare, but it's getting back to normal. So
this is
forward to my first loaf of bread for a week.
I remember this is when. Well, you see, this is nothing. This snow that we've had in the last few days. I remember the Great Freeze of 1962 to 1963, which lasted for 3 months in the south of England. And I remember my mother having to set out on a pair of skis. This is Horsham in West Sussex we're talking about. And she literally had to go out on a set of skis. I saw photographs of it. Now, I was 1962. I was like 5 years old. And a couple of years ago, I saw photographs of me as a 5-year-old, and the snow was practically up to my head. So, you know, it's been bad.
We don't know we're born.
Yeah, it's been bad. I completely appreciate it, and I'm like, you know, I know everyone keeps on knocking the fact that the UK can't deal with snow. We don't get it that often, to be honest. We do not invest in the infrastructure. So somewhere like Canada, which really invests in the infrastructure, because they get really, 20 feet deep snowdrifts. So they're most of it. But hopefully everyone's been safe and warm, and everyone's okay. So Gavin, thank you so much for joining me. We're going to be talking about your new short film, Wendigo, and a couple of films that influenced it, The Grey and The Revenant. But before we do that, perhaps you can tell us a little bit about Wendigo. One of the questions that immediately sprang to mind is because this is based on an American, Native American folklore of the Wendigo. You're based in Scotland. Why did you go for that rather than a Scottish folktale?
Well, when I was doing some research on what kind of film I was going to do next, because I was kind of like, this is going to be the second short film I've directed. And when I was trying to think of ideas and stuff like that, I looked into a lot of Celtic myths Scottish myths and monsters and stuff like that. And they were all really cool. I had a couple of cool ideas for that kind of thing. But I researched some of the Native American mythology, and the Wendigo came up, and it's such a brilliant mythos around this kind of monster. And there was a couple of great short stories that I read. The Algernon Blackwood short story, and it was just really got my imagination going. I've always loved westerns. I like spaghetti westerns and stuff like that, and so I've always wanted to do a western as well. So I was trying to think, how could I do a western and a monster kind of horror western? That just got me. I couldn't resist doing that. And then setting it in Scotland, shooting it in Scotland. So it was a haggis western. That was just kind of I couldn't help myself.
What were you mentioned this is your second short film. What was your first short film?
I did a short film last year, late last year. It was called The Murder of Crows, and it was for the horror short anthology. It was a horror short anthology from the Hex Media I was doing. It's all like 4 or 5 minute horror shorts, and so I did one for that. But that was it was like zero budget, and it was good. I'm quite proud of it, but I really wanted to do something a bit more ambitious next time. So trying to do another one. It's going to be a bit more ambitious and a bit more special effects and stuff. More.
Right. So this is the Murder of Crows. You mentioned the horror anthology from Hex Media. This is for We Are Many. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
But you've also been working with Hex Media for quite some time. You worked on, which of their films have you worked on as cinematographer?
I was the director of photography for Lord of Tears, and then the Unkindness of Revenant, and the latest one I think, which is the Black Gloves. I was cinematography for that as well. There's another one which I've worked on as well, but I don't know how. I don't know if I can talk about that one.
Right.
So there's another one.
Best not to in that case. Yeah, three's enough. How did you get into cinematography in the first instance?
I don't know. I did graphic design, art and graphic design at college, and then I really liked photography. And once I'd done that course, I went to do a video photography. It was just like a short course at college in Dundee, and I just really liked it. I was just kind of really got the hang of it. One of the few people in the class to really get a hold of all the kind of concepts, and just naturally got into it very easily. And I've always been really interested in films, in making films. And, like when we were like 11, 12 and stuff, we'd like make movies with our parents' camcorders and stuff like that. And I was just always been interested in it. And then once I kind of done it at college, and then I knew Laurie from Hex Media. I met him at college, and he was quite into making films. So that's kind of how I got into making films, through his kind of influence, I guess. and that's how I got involved in doing the cinematography for the Hex Media movies. So I've done a couple of. I'd obviously done those 3 films, and during the shoots, I'd directed a few scenes for those films, but I'd never directed anything like my own film.
Right.
So I think it was near the end of Unkindness of Revenant. Laurie suggested that I should direct my own film, and if I came up with a concept, that he would help me kind of raise the funds to make it. And that's when I started looking into the Wendigo story and trying to come up with the concepts for that. And that's where I kind of really found that one. So the Wendigo story is originally supposed to be a feature film.
Right.
So, but we've been trying to kind of like, in little creeping steps, trying to kind of get money to make that. So this was one of the steps along the way, is to kind of make it as a short first, as a kind of test the concept and see how people like it and stuff. And then hopefully in the future we can develop it into a feature.
Right. Have you written the feature film script?
It's not. There's not a script at the moment. There's a treatment. There's a story, which will probably change a lot when you do get a script for it.
What in terms of the short film, as you say, this is a proof of concept for the feature film, is how you're thinking about it. What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge? Because in the Kickstarter video, you've got our mate Jamie walking across the heathland and the heather. Is it going to be mostly shot outside?
Yeah, I'm thinking. Like I said in the Kickstarter video, it's going to be quite heavily influenced by the Revenant and The Grey and things like that, which are really out there in nature, and nature's so big and scary, and it's just makes for brilliant drama. And I really like the idea of that. I really like being out in nature. I really like, filming in nature and stuff like that. So I thought if I was going to do a film feature, I want to get out of a location or a setting or something. I want to get out, do it out in the wildy wilds.
Right. So when do you hope to film? Because your Kickstarter ends on the 15th, is that right? When does the Kickstarter end?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's the 15th. As soon as can. I just need to, once we get the funding, we can start getting the props and the costume and all the kind of the silky masks and stuff like that for the monster. And so as soon as we get that, hopefully we can get out and start filming. I was hoping to be filming by now because we've got all this great weather. It's kind of like I could just go 5 minutes down the road and I could be, in some kind of frozen wasteland. So I was kind of hoping to be out filming now, but even up till the end of April, I think there should still be some nice conditions up in the Highlands and stuff like that for filming. Some nice kind of snowy mountains and some good backdrop.
Right.
As soon as we can.
Yeah. So once you've got the funding in place, then you're going to go. What will you be shooting on? What equipment will you be using?
Well, the camera that we've been shooting the last couple of films on has been a C300,
right?
Which is really good. It's really good. It's really quite small as well, so it's quite good for running about in the woods and stuff like that. And I quite enjoy filming that. Yeah, so I'm hoping it's all going to be quite natural filmed, natural lighting and stuff like that. And if we do have any nighttime shot scenes, I'm hoping to kind of film them by firelight and stuff like that. And that camera's quite good for low light stuff like that, shooting in the outdoors. There's a little kind of as much natural light as we can, hopefully. So that should be
good. And is that your preferred way of shooting?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I do like filming in big lighting setups and stuff like that because you get some great effects and stuff like that. But usually I like getting in amongst, like I say, getting in amongst nature and getting in amongst the kind of the actors, letting the actors do their thing and just getting in there and kind of moving around inside the space. Right. I get really frustrated when I have to change lights and stuff like that. And move that light a little bit that way and a little bit that way just to get the lighting perfect. But sometimes you get great effects and stuff, and it really pays off. But sometimes it's just kind of
right.
Just want to get it and do it.
It's just you've got one big source of light when you're outside, which will obviously change during the day.
Yeah.
But if it's slightly overcast, you don't need to worry too much about shadows, etc. How big a cast is it
for the short? It's probably only going to be 2 people, probably a third costume actor. Well, I've not got I've not got a script for that really ironed out properly either, so that it can change a wee bit. But I'm looking at two characters and the costume actor.
Right.
for the monster.
Right. Right. And how long do you expect to shoot for?
Hopefully only about 2 days filming. We've got talking about the Kickstarter. I was wanting to get a chance to just say to everybody that's already backed the Kickstarter, a massive thank you to everybody that's backed it and shared it online. And because we've already reached the target, and we're going over the target from now on. So any money that we get above the target, we can just go and keep making it bigger and spending more time, more shooting days and stuff like that. The moment the target was only to make a kind of 5-6 minute short for the compilation. But if we, if the funding gets more and more, we can always make it even bigger. Make a 9-minute kind of festival cut, like a longer cut of the film, which you can go to festivals and stuff like that. So, but at the moment we're only looking at about 2 days, really, for filming. There's going to be a couple of effect shots, so they can take longer. They'll probably have their own day for all the effects shots.
So those will be practical effects.
Yeah, hopefully as much practical effects as we can.
And will you be doing the editing?
Yeah, I'll probably be editing stuff as well.
Cool. What do you?
So quite quick turnover, hopefully.
Yeah, I know. Everything always takes longer than you hope or plan.
Yeah,
I remember.
I go like I say, hopefully.
Yeah. I think we've mentioned on the whenever you're making film, there's never enough time. There's never enough money. It doesn't matter what budget it is. That is the simple rule of filmmaking.
And then there's always, you can never tell as well, because with the weather and stuff like that, filming outside. I was supposed to be filming a short this weekend, which is cancelled because of the weather. So the director for that film is not what he's going to do now, so he's going to have to push that back.
Right.
So you can never tell with the weather, especially shooting outside and stuff like that. So
right,
that's one of the biggest challenges with shooting in Scotland.
Yeah. Well, it's likely to be dreek.
It's likely to be pretty. But like they say in Scotland, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes because it'll change.
Yeah. I remember going up there once with Craig's parents, and we literally had all 4 seasons in one day. We had snow, we had rain, we had sunshine. We were up in the upper mountainside, and it's just like you could just see the weather coming across the plains towards you.
It makes for some really cool, dramatic scenes and stuff. So hopefully we'll catch some of that.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting. So, that's Wendigo. Did you do the character design? You mentioned you'd done a graphic arts.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the good things about having done graphic design and stuff like that, and art. So I get to kind of like do a lot of work on my own monster concept art and stuff like that. That's great fun.
Yeah,
I've done some other kind of design concept art for monsters and other films and stuff as well. But yeah, I quite like. That's one of the kind of fun creative things about doing monster movies is kind of come up with the concepts.
What?
Well, yeah, with the Wendigo as well, it's got quite a lot of. It's quite a not a very well known kind of monster, but when you start researching it, there's quite a lot of fiction and kind of art work that people have already made and stuff like that. So there's lots to draw on.
I mean, I knew the name, and I've probably heard it on Supernatural, because they covered most monsters in the 13 series of Supernatural. So I knew the name, but I really didn't know that much about it. It sounds like a fascinating concept.
It's one of these things that always kind of creeps into film and TV and things. You probably will have seen it somewhere.
Yeah. What do you think is going to be your biggest challenge in terms of the filming?
I don't know. Probably like they say, the weather, and kind of trying to get up into the kind of nice scenery and the Highlands and stuff to get this great big kind of open shots of trees and nature, and get up quite high up the mountains, get the idea that we're up in up in the Canadian border, lost in the wilderness, stuff like that. 'Cause that's kind of that's what we're going for.
Right.
But when we were filming Black Gloves, that was filmed up in the Highlands, and I remember going out. We were shooting some out, so a lot of it was indoor stuff. But then we went out to do some of the scenes, and the scenery is just amazing. And to driving up there from Fife, and it's an amazing, brilliant drive, and you just get to see all this amazing landscape, and it just makes you want to get out and film it and run around in it.
Well,
get some prop guns and make a film.
Yeah. Because I mean, I was lucky enough to spend a couple of days on the filming on the Black Gloves as well. Both the locations we were in were absolutely stunning. One on the cliff top in a tower, and the other in forests and shoreside. There's a lot of space. It really is easy to fill the frame of your camera if you've got that much landscape to play with. But I just remember having, particularly on the turret on the seaside, having to really pull my hat down as hard as possible to stop it blowing off. You're trying to act, remember your lines, and just praying your hat's not going to blow away in the wind. Basically.
All the time willing your hat to stay on.
yeah. It's just kind of like, we should have just sellotaped it to my head. Nobody would have known. It was great. It really was a great shoot. It was a good, fun thing to do. So let's talk a little bit about the two films that you mentioned as being, the influences, which let's start. Well, the one that was made the first is The Grey. Do you remember when you first came across The Grey?
It's not a film I'd heard of. I didn't go to see it. It was just one of these films that was on, must have been on after news or something one night, and you just start watching it. I'm not a massive Liam Neeson fan, but I started watching this film. It looked really interesting from the start, and then it was just a brilliant film. Oh, it just totally grabbed you from the very beginning. I just loved the kind of all the kind of psychological elements and the survival and everything. It's just like that. I thought that's what I want to. I want to make a film like that.
I watched both films this afternoon. One thing I do find absolutely fascinating is filming in snow. A lot of time you can only do one shot, because if you're walking through snow, that's it. Unless you then move and reframe to make it's difficult to get that absolutely pristine surface for snow. So one shot, and oddly enough, both films end with exactly the same shot, and both those shots are ended up on the poster.
Oh yeah, they both pretty much just end up with this kind of straight down the line.
Straight down the it's actually when for those of you who don't know anything about The Grey, which I have to say basically is, it's about a plane crash, and it's guys, and they're shot in they were shot in Canada. I think both were shot either near Vancouver or that part of the world. The Grey does for wolves what Jaws did for sharks.
Yeah. I love the way they were kind of presented in the film, and it made them so scary. These kind of things are almost like demons in the dark, and these shiny eyes and everything. They look just terrifying. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's interesting. Because you've got basically, without giving too much away, basically you've got people involved in a plane crash in the middle of nowhere. Normally, what you do if you in a plane crash, you stay with the plane. Because it's much easier for searchers to find you. If you're lost, stay where you are. Don't leave that space. But in this instance, that they're driven away because there are wolves attacking them. They need to be able to get away to shelter. And it is amazing. You've got all this landscape. It is the fact that nature is trying to eat you.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about both the films is that the real threat is in the film is not like some kind of supernatural monster. It's just nature. Nature is just so big and scary, and if you're not careful, it'll just sweep you away or eat you or crush you under something, or you know. And like in The Revenant, he's trying to get away from these the Americans that are chasing him, so he kind of slips away into the river. And before he knows it, he's down these massive rapids heading towards this big waterfall. And there's just always something more scary than the people that are trying to find you. It's like nature.
Yes,
that'll get you. You turn your back on it, and it'll get you.
It is very interesting to watch to having watched them back to back. You think, okay, you've got exactly the same shots. You've got exactly the same perils, people falling into the water now, having to go through rapids and so on. We've just got a question in from Greg Orsi. Hi, Greg. Nice to see you, mate. Kind of. Well, you can see me. It'd be really weird if I could see you. Greg asks, if you were able to someday shoot your feature, would you want to shoot it in North America?
Oh, I'd love to shoot in North America. That would be brilliant to go and shoot a proper Western, in America, and have you could shoot. Well, yeah, basically. it's just purely, if Steven Spielberg came along here tomorrow and said, "Oh, here's a budget for the film, do whatever you want," I'll be off. But yeah, no, I would love to properly, show off the kind of the landscape and properly get in there and all right into the wild to show off all that. Yeah, I'm a big lover of nature, and I love being out in nature and moving water. I do a lot of canoeing and stuff like that, so I love getting in amongst the water, away from everything, and getting on the water. So I'd love to shoot some stuff on the big rivers and lakes and stuff like that. Yeah, brilliant.
Yes. You're obviously very much at home there. And the other thing I was interested about, the thing that suddenly struck me was with listening to you there about The Grey and The Revenant. We're talking about basically people are really up against it without any real technologies to help them. In The Grey, they've crashed. The only gun on the plane is broken. They don't, they've no way of communicating, etc. In The Revenant, we're in the time of muskets. We're even, it's set before the time of repeating rifle or Colts. So literally the guns that they are using are the good old flintlock. So if they happen to have one with them, otherwise it's a knife.
Yeah, and there's that brilliant fight scene at the end where it's just a knife. There was Tom Hardy's got a knife and Leo's just got a little tomahawk, and it's just a brilliant fight. It's really brilliant, gruesome.
It really is
brutal fight. And yeah, it's brilliant.
It's gruesome and it's brutal. I mean, it's and I think that's one of the things. It really is incredibly brutal. I was watching some Leonardo DiCaprio interviews earlier on as well about just how tough it was to actually make it. Physically grueling. It was not. When you're watching, you're like that. There's no way you can kind of cheat that kind of shot. There's lots of million shots in it that you must. That must be so hard. Even if you have a helicopter taking you up there and then dropping you off or whatever. But yeah, it's going to be cold. It's apart from anything else, it's really, really going to be cold. And I've become fascinated. I'm always fascinated with beards. But Leonardo DiCaprio has got because he's out in the snow and the ice, and he's got ice and snow on his beard. And I'm thinking, I wonder if they'd used wax, or if that was because that's real. There's a frosting of snow in a lot of the shots because he's wrapped up in furs and so on, but he's wet in furs as well. For a man who's he spends a lot of time in the water in The Revenant. Yeah, Steve Zarebski, who is in Canada, asks, have you got any plans of, shooting in if given the opportunity rather than North America? Would you be interested in shooting in Canada?
Oh yeah, no, totally. Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
I've got relatives live in Canada, but I've never been. I would love to go and just to see it, and the film it would be amazing.
Right. People are just saying they're having a little trouble hearing you, Gavin.
Voice.
Yeah.
Louder and clearer, as my father would say.
Yeah.
Louder and clearer.
And I've just spotted that. Yeah, so we've touched on those films and so on, but we've got some time. So I was wondering, you say you met Laurie Brewster from Hex Media at college or university?
College.
At college.
Well, no, high school actually. But
high school. Okay, that far back. Okay. So the first film that you shot with, the first feature film certainly, was Lord of Tears. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
How long ago was that?
Oh, that was I can't remember actually now. Like 10 years or something, must be. So we actually started filming it. It must be about that, I think.
No, it's 2018 now.
Yeah. I don't know, 2010, 2011 or so? I don't know.
2011. Okay, so it's about, it's about 8 years, 8 or 9 years ago.
So. We recently started,
What was, can you casting your mind back over the Lord of Tears and then Unkindness of Ravens and the Black Gloves, what do you think, and again, I'm just asking what the biggest challenges were on those shoots? Can you remember any particular shot that was particularly difficult to achieve in any of those films?
Particularly difficult. I don't know. There wasn't any that were particularly difficult. There were so many different challenges, I guess. There were some great challenging shots in the Unkindness of Ravens. We did a lot of practical gory practical effects in that film that really time consuming because you have to get the effects obviously really spot on. There was a great shot where one of the characters is getting attacked by ravens. He's lying wounded and he's been caught in an explosion, and there's these ravens all around him, like picking at him and stuff like that, all attacking him. And one of the ravens gouges out his eye while he's still alive. And so that took forever to get the prosthetics and put the little eye in the socket and everything. And we had this little puppet, this little kind of puppet crow to kind of like pick at the eye. And I can't remember. I think at one point I was doing the camera and operating the raven at the same time, just so I could get the beak right in there, get the shot, because that was one of these ones that took forever to get all these little practical effects shots. They looked amazing on the screen, but yeah, they took forever. They're great fun.
Because there was a lot. You did quite a bit of night shoots on Unkindness of Ravens. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, it was quite a long shoot to start with. We did about a week and a half at the local cottage, where most of it's set. So that was filming all day, and then pretty much filming all night, and then pretty much filming during the day, and then at night. Sometimes it was more nights and less day, and then the other way around. But yeah, we're kind of like a solid week and a half, I think, for the first part of the shoot at the cottage. So that was nights and days, and then we came away, then we did some more stuff in Edinburgh and stuff like that. And yeah, that was. Yeah, then we went back and reshot a lot of it as well. And there was all the special, like I say, all the special effects stuff and the green screens and all the kind of the stuff set in Afghanistan. That was a lot good. That was good fun filming that film. I'd say.
With you said stuff set in Afghanistan. Where did you film?
It was actually filmed on the beach in Fife. There's a big, quite a big beach called near Tentsmuir, and it's got a massive sandy dunes and stuff, and some little bits of scrub and stuff in it. And it kind of worked surprisingly well to film there, and managed to pass it off as Afghanistan with some clever photography and costume design.
You mentioned Jon, that a lot of particularly in Unkindness of Ravens, there are some really some big VFX shots. Do you how difficult is it for you as a cinematographer to set those up? I mean, is it literally just a question, okay, well, we need to light the green screen properly, we put our actor here, and then this is what I shoot it and not worry about, and then we'll just leave it for the VFX stuff to sort out in the end?
I was quite lucky not to have to do any of the special effects stuff. I was just kind of having to shoot it. So there was really the guys at Hex Media that did a lot of the work on the actual bit effects. There was some brilliant effects in there. And but yeah, it's just a case of making sure you have the green screen all lit properly and the subjects lit properly. And yeah, it's the first time I really used a lot of green screen stuff. But I was really surprised at how simple your simple setup can look really striking with enough hard work, from the guys at Hex Media. They put work in to kind of make it look great. But yeah, I was really surprised at how good quite a simple setup can look.
Right. Brilliant. Okay, cool. All right. Well, I think we've covered everything that we set out to cover in terms of talking about Wendigo, and anything else you'd like to add for the Kickstarter before we wrap this up?
Yeah, just again say a big thank you to everybody that supported it so far. I was totally blown away by the support. I think it was 48 hours we pretty much reached the target. And I was totally blown away by all the support and the amount of people that shared it online and stuff like that. And if you have shared it online, or if you haven't, just keep doing that and keep spreading the word, and see if we can get the funding up to, I don't know, just see if we can get any more. And like I say, we'll just all keep going to make it better and bigger and more practical effects. And if we get more funding, we can add more characters and have more killings. Have more killings, and the monster can get and do another one, and just make it bigger and better. And just to say, thank you to all the people that have backed it so far and made it happen, because it looks like it's going to happen.
Brilliant.
Better than I thought.
Excellent. Cool. All right. Well, I wish you luck. Next couple of weeks, there's a link on the YouTube already, folks, to the Kickstarter. So please follow through, and you can learn out more about Gavin's Wendigo and see the wonderful character design that I alluded to earlier on. Next week, there won't be a show because it is Mothering Sunday. And most guests want to either be with their mothers, or people should want to be celebrating Mothering Sunday with their mothers. On the Saturday, I'm going to be down in Bournemouth at the Dirt in the Gate presentation of Hellraiser, where I'll be doing a Q&A. I'll also be taking some photographs and books to sign and sell. So I'll have those with me as well. So if you're in that part of the world, I'm looking forward to seeing you. Thank you very much indeed to everybody who's been watching and asking questions. Gavin, thank you very much indeed for taking your time out. Hopefully you'll be able to get some bread tomorrow. But I will be back in a couple of weeks with another chattering, and I'll announce who that guest is going to be then. Okay, in the meantime, take care, everybody. Bye. Cool. All right. And I'm going to hit the stop broadcast button now. There we are.